You've been stuck inside for 3 days because of rain, and you're already miserable. Even with a roof over your head, a warm meal in the fridge, and a phone full of distractions. Now imagine that same rain, but you have none of that. No walls, no stored food, no dry clothes, just you, in a forest, 50,000 years ago, with a storm that doesn't stop for weeks. For most of human history, that wasn't a bad week. It was a test of survival, but it might also be one of the reasons civilization exists at all. Rain sounds harmless. It isn't glamorous like a predator attack or a migration across a continent, which is probably why almost nobody talks about it when they talk about ancient survival. But for early humans, sustained rain was one of the most consistently dangerous conditions they faced, not because of drowning, but because of something much quieter: heat loss. Water pulls heat away from the human body roughly 25 times faster than air does. That single fact explains why hypothermia can kill in conditions that aren't even close to freezing. Wet skin, a light wind, and a temperature hovering around 10 degrees Celsius, an ordinary spring night in much of prehistoric Europe or Africa, was enough to become fatal within hours if you had no way to stay dry and warm. Ancient humans didn't need a thermometer to understand this. They learned it by watching people around them die from it. So the single most important skill in a rainstorm wasn't hunting or building. It was keeping a fire alive. Fire and rain are natural enemies. Wet wood won't ignite, and a fire that goes out during a hypothermic emergency isn't an inconvenience, it's a death sentence. Which is why ancient cultures across the world treated fire less like something you make and more like something you maintain, continuously, the way we treat a power grid today. Archaeological sites across Europe show hearths that burned for years without going fully out, fed, shielded, and protected as a full-time responsibility. In many groups, someone's entire job during bad weather was simply to sit with the fire and keep it alive. It's one of the earliest divisions of labor we can find any evidence for. But here's what most people get wrong about this. They picture ancient humans huddled uselessly in caves, waiting for the rain to pass. The archaeological record tells a very different story. Caves and rock shelters from rainy periods aren't empty. They're packed with evidence of production. Stone tools in every stage of construction, piles of tiny flaking debris exactly where someone would have sat near the fire for hours, working. At one site in South Africa, researchers found a 100,000-year-old workshop for grinding pigment, shells used as mixing bowls, bone tools for stirring. That's not survival, that's manufacturing, done on purpose, likely while rain pounded outside. Rain didn't just interrupt life, it created time, long, unstructured stretches where nothing else could be done except sit still and make something. Bone needles requiring careful, patient drilling start appearing in the record roughly 61,000 years ago. The oldest known fragment of twisted plant fiber string, the ancestor of every rope, net, and knot in human history, was found at a Neanderthal site in France. Rope making is slow and repetitive. It's exactly the kind of task a rainy week produces. And then there's the part almost nobody expects. Some of the oldest known cave paintings on Earth sit deep underground, hundreds of meters from any entrance, in chambers people had to crawl through narrow passages to reach. Nobody does that when the hunting is good and the weather is clear. You do it when you've already sharpened every tool you own. The storm has been going for 2 days, and there's nothing left to do but carry a small, fat-burning lamp into total darkness and create something. We can't prove cave art was a rainy day activity, but the pattern lines up too well to ignore. The most creative bursts in human prehistory happened in exactly the places people were most likely to be trapped for days at a time. There's a deeper layer to this too. When 15 to 30 people are forced into a small, dry space together for days, they don't just wait quietly, they talk. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have found that daytime conversation tends to focus on practical matters, resources, disputes, logistics. But at night, around the fire, the vast majority of conversation shifts to stories, songs, and shared history. The fire didn't just provide warmth. It was where survival knowledge, myths, and memory were passed from person to person, generation to generation. The earliest version of a library, with no pages at all. So when it rains for days and you feel that low hum of boredom creeping in, you're standing at the far end of a very old pattern. Somewhere, tens of thousands of years ago, a group of humans sat trapped by the exact same rain, with the exact same restlessness. And what they did with that forced stillness became rope, firecraft, pigment, tools, stories, and art carried by hand into the deepest dark. Boredom, for them, wasn't empty time. It was the raw material civilization was quietly built from, one rainy week at a time.